All right, y'all. Now that we've covered collar fit, we're gonna cover putting a harness on the mule. I'm gonna try to make this simple and easy where y'all can understand it. The first thing you need to do, you need a curry comb, you need a stiff bristle brush. You want to get all that dirt off, all the hay, all the dirt, everything that might be on them, mud, whatever. And mud, you really need one of these. I start on the left side at their head, and I just start brushing. I put my curry comb in front like this. That way I can make 2 licks. I'm making every lick count. Get their shoulders really, really clean. If you don't get nothing else clean, and you don't hear nothing else I tell you about brushing them, right here where this collar sets, you want to get that clean. Get all that dirt off, because that dirt be like sandpaper under there. It'll scorch it, gall them a little bit. Right up here where their bridle's gonna sit, pull their halter back. Get that head clean right up there, because you know, think about it, y'all. Would y'all want to have to work all day in conditions like that? You know, with dirt rubbing you and stuff like that? How would you feel if you had dirt under your hat all day? You know, think about it. This is just simple stuff here. And my mules are shedding, so this curry comb helps get some of the hair out. They're shedding out pretty good though. See how I'm just taking that curry comb and running right ahead of my brush? Now back here where your breeching's gonna sit, this is another place you want to get clean. You want to make sure there ain't no dirt. Now, I worked my way all the way to the tail. Now I'm gonna go up here to this side. I'm gonna swap hands with my curry comb and my brush, because you want to keep that curry comb ahead of your brush. Pull her halter back, clean her head up. Where that bridle's gonna sit, you want that clean. You don't want nothing rubbing, because that's gonna cause problems. I'm telling you, it will cause problems. Get her good and clean. Get that shoulder clean. Get them real good and clean right there. And then just work your way to the back. Now some mules will get ticklish right in here, and horses will too. And you gotta be careful. If it's one that you hadn't never harnessed before or been around much, you need to be careful. Right in here, they get to see her kind of hump up a little. See, that's a tickle spot area. And if you got one that's a little ticklish, y'all just do it like this right here. Look, just go slow and easy. Talk to her, let her know you hear, you know. They find comfort in your voice. And it sure don't hurt to talk to them. Some people think I talk too much, and that's all right, I probably do. But my mules, they don't never complain about it. If they do, I can't understand them anyway. All right, she's clean. Now, so we're done with that part. Now y'all follow me. I'm gonna show you how I gather my harness up and bring it out here. First thing we're gonna do is get the bridle and the collar. Now y'all, I want to show you this first, and I hope y'all can see it. I've got these little racks. It's just a simple 2x4 rack with a 2x4 on the end. That's what we hang our harness on. Simple, real simple. Here's my bridle. Here's her collar. We'll do that first. Come here. Come here. All right, now I want to tell y'all this. Most mule men that I know and has taught me over the years, they put the bridle on first. And the reason so is because then that mule knows you mean business. That mule knows to quit fooling around. It's time to go to work. You know, get your mind right, sort of thing. And I did that for years and years. And I don't disagree with it. It's a good idea. I use adjustable collars. In other words, mine's got these little leather straps where I can take it up or out. And to put the bridle on first, you got to split the collar apart and slip it up under the neck in order to put their collar on. And I started having trouble with my little old clips right here, the rivets coming out of it and breaking off from splitting their collars apart so much. So I quit doing that. Now I just put it over their head, and I put the collar on first. Okay, so I turn it upside down. Mules generally have big heads, and it's hard. It's harder to get a collar over their head than a horse, particularly. And the first time or two you do it, it's kind of aggravating, and they don't really like it a whole lot. But you can do it, and with a little time and a little patience, they get used to it. Come here, Kate. Whoa. Now you have to take your lead chain and come under your collar, so that way when you slip your collar up over their neck, that it's already there. And then what I'll do, and she kind of knows what this is, we've done it a good bit. See how she puts her head in there? And then once you get it right there behind her ears, then take it and just roll it around. Now, that's if you choose to do it the way I'm doing it. If you don't, put the bridle on first. Then, pull your pad loose on one side, take your collar loose on one side, ease it apart, slip it up over the neck, pin your pad back, strap your collar, you're done. Okay, next. Oh, and I want to tell y'all, my collar from top to bottom is 24-inch collar. And see right here how my hand comes in? Now I've got just a little bit of extra right here. My hand goes in there real nice. And I've got just a little bit extra, but that's because I pull heavier with them. If you're not pulling real heavy, doing draft work and stuff, you know, heavy draft work, just get your hand in there snug and that'll be fine. If you're pulling heavy, you know, their neck tends to swell a little bit, and you know, it ain't a real big deal. You can get by with it if you don't do it. But that's something I have learned and picked up from other mule skinners. If you're logging with them and doing real heavy draft work, it's best to have just a little extra. But let me tell y'all this collar, it needs to go all the way back. No matter what you're doing, that collar needs to sit on her shoulder all the way back against it, because when that harness is on her, that's where that collar needs to be, all the way back. If it's up here like this and she's pulling, it's going to sit here and rock. It's going to tear her shoulders up. That's because of that shape we talked about. See, this collar's got enough cutout on the back that it'll go all the way against her shoulder. I think these are half Sweeney collars. I'm not 100% sure. And I've had full Sweeney collars before, but I've got them loaned out to a friend of mine, so I can't give you an example, side-by-side example of what they look like. I am, however, going to post a picture in this video to where y'all can see a diagram of the cutout of it, okay? So, now the next thing I do, and this is just something I do. Y'all can do it your own way if you want to. If you find this helpful, you can do this. This is a calf rope from Tractor Supply. It's got a snap on one end, it's got 2 rings. That's where you can take it and you can slip it through this ring and you can adjust it up and down. Basically, this is a neck rope. Put it around her neck, snap it. It can't get no tighter than what it is right now, okay? So here's what I'm gonna do. Run it up over her neck, snap it. Now see, it can't get no tighter. I've got it right here on her head. I want to pull this halter back so her bridle will have plenty of room to go. And she's not real bad about this, y'all, but a lot of horses and mules, when you go to showing them a halter, they want to pick their head up. That's a no-no. Here's the trick to this rope. You take this rope, you throw it down there on the ground, and you put their head wherever you want it. You know, her head's about right. She's doing good. But if they got their head way up here, take your foot, step on that rope, pull their head down, and hold their head down until they get comfortable doing it like that. And if it takes 4 or 5 or 6 or half a dozen or a dozen or 25 or 30 times of doing it, however long it takes, just keep doing it. Eventually they'll get to where they're like Kate here. See, Kate, she's real gentle about it. She just keeps her head down, and she's pretty good about sticking her head in the bridle. Some mules and horses are just born that way. They'll just do it naturally. Some of them won't. Some of them will try to get their head away from you. They'll shy their head away from you like that. They'll stick their head up. They'll do anything they can to get out of you putting a bridle on them. Now, I do want to talk about the bridle a little bit. Y'all, you can make a daggum sour animal, you know, by the way you put a bridle on. If you take that bridle and you slam that bit in their mouth and you bang their teeth and everything like that, you're gonna make a soured animal. And you know what? I don't blame them. I don't blame them for getting sour because you're hurting them. Now here's the bit that I use. I did want to show you all that. And about every bit that you've ever seen in a mule barn down here in the south is just like this bit right here. It's a straight bit wrapped with wire. This is a heavy gauge wire. It starts out here on the end like that. It curls around that ring, then it spirals around the bit. It goes to the other ring on the other side. And I'm gonna talk more about these bits in a little bit later video, but I did want y'all to see the spiraling on these bits and how I wrap them with wire. There's a reason for it, and it's not too harsh. I'll tell y'all all about it. This is a chin strap with a ring on it. A lot of the old timers, again, they put the bridle on first and they got a chin strap with a ring. That's how they lead their mule, is right here. You've got a bit in their mouth. You got more control over that mule. You can make that mule do what you want it to do with that bit in its mouth. And this right here where you can lead them, okay? But first and foremost, I want to show y'all how I do it. How I put the bridle on. Okay, so everything I'm doing with her, because she's a lead mule, I'm doing it from the left side. Her harness dresses from the left because she's on the left. Okay, now get your check reins and everything out of the way. Hold your bridle with one hand at the top. See her putting her head down? She's already ready for the bridle. Take your thumbs and put your fingers on it like that right there, and just you feed that bit up in her mouth real slow and easy. You don't slam it in there. Then take your bridle, stick it on her head, put the offside ear in first. Now, see how that bridle's hung on her head? All right, now, come here, girl. Come here. Now, take that bridle, this side of the bridle, slide it back over her ear, reach under, and pull her ear through. It's that simple. And see how easy that was? Now look, I've got that rope with my foot on it down here. So see, she can't get her head up no further than that. And see right there where that rope's gonna hit her at. See up here? See where that rope is? That's gonna create a pressure point right there. And she's gonna know better than picking her head up. Now, like I say, she's pretty good about this. Now Alice, my off mule, I still use the rope on her quite a bit because she'll do it every once in a while. Although I have got better with Alice about Alice putting her head down. So we're working on it, a little bit at a time. All right, now you can get the check rein ready. You just put it right there on her neck. And y'all, the ones of you that use check reins, I'm glad for you. The ones that don't, I encourage you to do it. And here's why. If that mule right there tucks its head down against that collar, if it gets his head down and back against that collar, back up just a little bit. If that mule gets his head down and against that collar, you ain't gonna have no control. That mule's just gonna sit there like this, and no matter what you do with the lines, it don't care. That mule ain't gonna care. Put them check lines on it, get that mule's head up. A mule's head can be checked higher than a horse, naturally. And the reason for that is because the mule's got steeper shoulders. They got steeper hoof angles. They've got a steeper shoulder angle, and they will naturally carry their head just a little higher than a horse. You want to check their heads accordingly. And I better fasten her bridle. I'm sitting here talking and I'm kind of getting beside myself. Okay. You want to check their heads up a little bit above their back. See how she's holding her head up just a little above her back? This is not right. Her head down that low, that ain't right. Her head needs to be about like that. That's going to do a couple things. One, it's going to keep you in positive control. Two, it's going to keep her from getting her head down trying to cut her wind off when she's pulling hard. And three, y'all, here's the deal. Another thing check lines do, or check rein, bridle rein, whatever you want to call it, over checks. When they're pulling hard, it encourages them to squat their hind end because they can't get their head down. When they go to pulling hard, they'll go to leaning forward and trying to get down and down and down and down until they lose their balance and their back end and go to slipping. Next thing you know, they've slipped up on their back end, they go down on their front knees. If they keep their head up and they go to squatting on their hind end, they can shove with more of their muscle and more of their body weight. Some people think it's the direct opposite about check reins and over checks, about, you know, not having a check rein on will make them pull more. And I can tell y'all that is not true. I have done it both ways. A good friend of mine, Mr. Ronnie Tucker, we done an experiment with this. We tried it both ways. We tried it with check lines, or with check reins, and without check reins. And a mule can pull more, or a horse can pull more with check reins, because it teaches them form. In other words, head up, butt down. Head up, butt down. It teaches them to squat and shove hard into a load. That's what your overchecks do right here. Now, see here on her bit? She's got a couple wrinkles in her lip right there. Y'all see that? It's the same on the other side. That bit is adjusted properly. Right here is how you adjust it. If them wrinkles ain't there, then your bit's too loose. You need just a little bit of positive pressure on her lips right there. Your blinders, this is a pigeon wing blinder. See how it comes around? A mule's eyes, and I get this question a lot. Step right over, kind of over that way, Skylar. I get this question a lot about square blinders and pigeon wing blinders. Here's the deal, y'all. Yeah, I'd say some of it's tradition, probably. But here's the deal. Y'all look at that horse right there. Look at how her eyes is on her head. Her eyes is more on the front of her head. Now look at this mule. Her eyes is more over to the side. Look at that horse again. Now look at this mule. See how her eyes are more over to the side? This mule right here, without these blinders on, can see everything behind her within about 4 inches of her back. Okay? That's why they wrap up over the top and they cover her eyes up over here. Because with square blinders on, that mule can see, she can still see behind her. And it'll cause problems. Some mules can wear square blinders, and I'm not saying they don't work, y'all. This is kind of like a Ford and Chevrolet thing. Hey, you do what you want to. You're mule. I'm just telling you how I do it. And I'm telling you how my ancestors have done it. We run pigeon wing blinders on a mule. We run square blinders on a horse. Now, you can run pigeon wing blinders on a horse and it ain't going to hurt nothing. You can run square blinders on some mules and it ain't going to hurt nothing. But I'm telling you, they can see behind them blinders. With square blinders on. She can't see behind these pigeon wings. All right. So now, we've got our check rein right here. We've got the bit adjusted. I told y'all about a curved chin strap. This right here, her, what do you call it? Bridle strap, whatever you want to call it. Y'all call it what you want to. It needs to be to where you can just get a couple fingers under it, like I'm doing right there. See? You don't want it too tight, you'll cut the wind off. You don't want it too loose, because if, for some reason, they get their heads together and go to rubbing on each other, and they will do it, even experienced mules will, when they get to rubbing their heads together, they can rub the bridle off. And if they do that, you got a whole new set of problems. Okay, so there's that. Now we're ready for the harness. Y'all come on. I'll show you how I gather the harness up. All right, there's an easy way to remember how to do this. She's dressing from the left because she's a lead mule, she's on the left. If you're harnessing from the left, put the harness on your right arm, okay? It's backwards from what you would think. If you're harnessing from the left, put it on your right. If you're harnessing the off mule on the right side, put it on your left. And I'm gonna show y'all why you put it on that opposite arm right here in just a second. Here's the first thing you do. Remember, this goes on your right arm. Here we go. Take the bridging, run your arm under it, just like that. Back band comes next. Put it on your arm, all right? Now, all these lines and all this extra good stuff, reach in here, grab your left hand, pick everything up, then grab your right hand, just like this. All right. Y'all see how I got it? The harness is on my right hand, on my right arm. It's not up on my shoulder. It's not on my left. It's on my right arm. Got my right hand in my right hand. Got my left hand in my left hand. Keep them apart. All right, here we go. Girl. Let them know when you get up here to them. They hear this harness, they know what the deal is, but let them know you hear it. Tell them, whoa, call her name, whatever you want to do. All right, now, it's important that you keep the hames apart. Keep them flared out a little bit. For some of y'all smaller people that ain't real tall or ain't strong, this method right here will work for you, I promise. I've harnessed 18.5 hand draft horses, 19 hand draft horses. This method right here will work for you. You're going to use inertia and the weight of this harness to help throw it up on that mule. Okay, now if it's a new mule and it ain't never been harnessed, you probably want to be a little easier about this, and you probably want to just kind of lay it up there and feed it up on them. And you can do it like that if you want to. You just feed it up there like that, okay? Now, the way I do it, keep them apart, and you're gonna swing it, just like that, all right? All right, so here we go. See how it just goes over the top? Take your harness, your butt band, leave it right there, just like that. Now, take your hames, pick your hames up, set them right up there on the collar, just like that. Get your head up a little bit, Alice. Or Kate, I'm sorry. Now, the first thing I do, I start at the front and I go to the back. First thing I do is I fasten their hame strap. Get your head up, Kate. She thinks I'm trying to put her halter on, or her bridle on still. Now, you want to get that hang strap, and I'll back up just a little. Now look, for some of y'all that ain't real strong, this is how you do it. Put your shoulder right here, put your right shoulder into that hang, grab this down here with your left hand, and pull it. And then, now you got it in there like that, okay? Now what I do is I run mine through here like this, and then I double it back like that. And I want to talk a little bit about this harness, because I'm sure a lot of y'all's harness is going to be different than what you see here. This is a mule harness. It's called Tennessee box breeching, is what this is. And I'm going to kind of explain to you how it works, and how to rig it, and how to adjust it. I'll give you some, you know, I'll kind of go over it and tell you all about it here in just a minute. Now that we've got the hames fastened, I want to tell y'all the next thing to do is grab your, this is a choke strap. It goes up around the collar. Now some harnesses will have a martingale type under harness. This is one of the main differences in a mule harness and like a western harness. On a mule harness, it has a choke strap with breast chains and a slider. And I'll tell y'all all about that here in a minute. But it don't matter whether you got a choke strap or whether you got a martingale. It doesn't matter. Grab your breast strap or your martingale strap that, you know, some of them will fit. They'll snap here and they'll snap here, you know, whatnot. And I'm gonna go ahead and snap my my breast chain on, so that'll be on there. Okay, so that's on there. All right. Now take your choke strap or your under harness, bring it under, look through right over here, and it should be. I'm gonna have to go over here and get it because it didn't come out. All right, and sometimes that'll happen, but grab your choke strap, and then right here, this is your quarter strap from the right side. Hook it first. Here's your quarter strap from the left side. Hook it next. Come under here, grab your belly band, and then snap it next. And that belly band don't need to be tight. It's not a saddle. And I'll tell you more about that belly band and back band here in a minute. All right, now I grab their breeching and pull it down on them. And let me make sure I ain't got nothing wadded up here. All right, because I've got a lot of stuff on her harness. Make sure ain't nothing wadded up, no lines too tight. Everything looks good. And you don't want to look like an amateur, so always remember to pull her tail out. I don't know how many times I've done that. Okay, now since we're back here at the rear, I'm gonna tell y'all about this harness and where it needs to set and whatnot. See, this is a kind of like a combination, I guess, between a western harness and like a Yankee breeching, which comes over the top. This type of harness is a combination harness. It's box breeching. They hold back from the top and on the back. And it's big, wide 4-inch breeching gives them more surface area. And y'all, this harness, to me, it's a really good harness. Been used here in the hills of Tennessee for eons. These mules can really sit down in this breeching and really back a load and really hold back a load on these hills. That's what this harness was designed for. This breeching right here needs to set See, like whenever it's back on her and just pull it back, it needs to set a hand width above the dock of her tail. See the dock of her tail right there? It needs to set a hand width above that right there. So that's where that breeching needs to sit. Okay. And then of course I'm just kind of snubbing everything up. These side straps right here that goes up here to the top of her collar, it just helps hold her collar in place. And y'all, the biggest difference in a mule harness, be it Kentucky harness is just a little different breeching, that's all. The breeching on Kentucky harness has 2 rings with hip straps coming off of it. And a regular, it looks similar to a Western harness, but a Western harness has got a ring in the middle with hip straps coming off. A Kentucky harness has got 2 rings with hip straps coming off. This is Tennessee harness or combination box breeching. Now, on most mule harnesses, you'll see a chain instead of tugs. People's asked me, why in the world do y'all use chain instead of tugs? Well, a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's tradition. You know, years and years ago, leather was a hot commodity and people just couldn't afford it. Chain was easy to come by. A blacksmith could build chain, it wasn't a big deal. I like chain better, and here's why. I like it because it folds and lays better on the animals. You know, the tugs stick out and it's just hard to get it to lay right. These chains lay good. Okay, now, these are your side straps, and they go up and connect around the top of your collar. These here are your backing straps. They need to be fairly snug. These side straps don't need to be snug. They just need to be kind of about like that. Your backing straps, hold your head straight, girl. Your backing straps need to be fairly snug because it hooks in your trace chain right here. Now some people they decide to hook them in right here. That's fine. Most old mule skinners hook them right here in the loggerhead. They want it to come down more. Instead of hooking here, it comes down so it stays down lower on the mule. They like it better that way. That holds your collar back. The principal design of this setup, see, because here's my breast chain. See, it swings. Got a slider on it. There's a reason for that. Okay, here's my choke strap. See, it's fairly snug compared to a Western harness with a martingale. And what that does is that keeps that collar. See, you got no point of contact right here. It can pull that collar as far forward as it wants to go. But that choke strap actually holds it back on their shoulders. And these side straps and these backing straps hold that collar on her good. Y'all, now this is the good part. This type of harness will stay on an animal better than a harness like a martingale type harness, like a Western harness. This type of harness will stay on a mule better. Or horse, it'll stay on them better because it's already adjusted. If you're plowing and not using a tongue, the harness is still going to stay in place. Now on a Western harness, it'll stay in place too if you have it hooked to a tongue, because then you've got it suspended. Your under harness under the bottom is tight, and it'll stay on. With this type of harness, your under harness is always snug. It don't matter what you're doing with them. Okay. Now this is one thing I've added, and this is something y'all need to know, and we're going to cover this a little later on in hitching. Let's see if I can. Well, we're going to have to get a wrench. Hang on just a second. All right. I'm going to get a wrench. I need to loosen this because I want to show y'all how this needs to be. It could probably use a little penetrating oil on it. I'm just opening this up where I can adjust this piece of chain. And I'm going to tell y'all about this chain. This right here sort of serves the same purpose as a combination under harness. Okay, so it's probably going to go in this one right here. Now, let me see how that lines up. No. About 2 more. See how that does. That's pretty close to being right. And y'all, here's the angle that I'm looking at. Look down their hangs. Come over to the side, Skylar. Get a good side view. What you want in this situation, pull this right here tight. This is going to be hooked to a breast yoke. Look right here, Skylar. This line down their hangs it needs to follow through this chain, through this hook, into this one. You need to get this one right here shortened up. Back up just a little bit. You need to get this chain shortened up enough to where these two hooks come together and it makes that angle. Okay, and we're gonna talk more about this when we hook up in a little bit. But this right here, your harness needs to see how it's tight, her under harness. When this is hooked up, this is gonna be suspended whenever she's hooked to a load. And I might can drop one more chain link on her. I'm gonna drop one more just to see what it looks like. All right, now, yeah, that's a little better. Now you got that line down the hang, straight through the chain to the hook, and this one here. If you didn't have this little old short strap on there, on this particular type of harness, what I have found happens is the tongue will rear up on you, because you can hold back with it, and it works just fine. Problem is it'll rear up on you, and if you don't want it rearing up, especially with a breast yoke on, because the breast yoke can come up and hit the mules in the bottom of the mouth, you know. If you don't want it rearing up, put your D-ring, have your harness maker put your D-ring on their choke strap right there, put you a short strap or a piece of chain like I've got, and with a hook on it, and then you hook that in your breast yoke ring, hook that in your breast yoke ring, then it can't go forward and it can't go down. You got it suspended. All right, so there's that. Now, let me get my line. This is her outside line. Let me get this throat over there. Now I'm gonna put her check ring on, and she's bad to kind of hold her head down. I've got a snap right there where I can snap it. All right, get your head up. Now, see, now that's where I want her carrying her head for working. And maybe I may go ahead and let her out one, because that's a little higher than I like. So I'm gonna let her out one. I'm gonna adjust her. I just got a Conway buckle over here, it's nothing big. I'm gonna let that Conway buckle out one, and that's gonna give her just a little bit of slack. And that ain't too bad right there. That looks fair. Okay, now, so we got all that. She's harnessed, Alice is harnessed. Now we're ready to put them together. Well, let me tell y'all about this belly band and back band right quick. When they're pulling in their trace chain, wait a minute. Before I tell y'all that, let's talk about the loggerhead and their trace chain. See the thickest part of her collar? And y'all ought to have a place right there, see that? See that right there? That's the heaviest draft part of that collar. That's where you want that trace chain hooked. And see how that loggerhead's got holes? You can move it up or down. You can put it anywhere you want it. I got it right there in the middle, which is about right. Now, let me undo this so I can kind of show you. All right, so there's her trace chain. Now, see that belly band, how it's just kind of loose? Well, here's the deal, y'all. If you get hooked to a high load, kind of like the other day when y'all saw me loading them logs on that log wagon, and they're britching, you know, their chains are way up here above their butt. See, that belly band's gonna keep it from going way up there. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna hold it down. It's gonna hold the tug down and not let it get too far up. Your back band is gonna hold it from going too far down. And when I say down, I'm talking like right here. See, it can't go no further down than what that back band will let it. It can't go no further up than what this belly band will let it. But you don't want them tight. This is not a saddle horse or mule. This is a work mule. That belly band needs to be about like that. See that slack in it? It just needs a little bit of slack. About 2 hand widths under it, what you need. And then if she steps in a hole and it rises up, it ain't gonna cut her wind off. Or if she goes over a hill and it pulls down real hard, it ain't gonna change this right here. And y'all look right here. Skylar, back up where they can see it. Look at the angle between the hang and the chain. Back up off right there where they can see it. See what I'm talking about? You want an L shape right here. That needs to make an L shape, and it needs to stay that way the whole time they're working. And that's what the belly band and the back band does. In normal situations, just regular average everyday driving, I've got mine set to where it will maintain a straight line all the way down to back here where I've got it hooked to a load. See what I mean? All right, so let me hook her trace chain back up here. Now look, these are different, you know, they just got a ring on the end. This is like a lot of old mule harness, old plow harness. This is the way we do it. Pull your chain through, take your ring, stuff over the end, and just let her hang. Now some harness has got a clip right up here. You can put your chain right up here, that's fine. I've got hip spreaders on this mule, so that way if I want to work in single lines or one line, I've already got a spreader there. Now come around here to this side, Scott. Now right here, I've got my team lines on the mule. It's ready to go. Matter of fact, I've already got this hooked right here. So now all I've got to do is bring my other mule over here and put her with her. We're ready to go, which is what I'm gonna do right now. Come here. Here, Alice. Ooh. Now, I'm gonna take her inside line, and I'm gonna talk more about lines in a little while. Her inside line goes over to Alice, or Kate. Kate's inside line comes over to Alice, just like that. It makes an X. Y'all see that? How it makes an X? Her line goes to her bit. Her line goes to her bit. It crosses, just like that. Now, I've got her outside line already hooked. I've got her outside line already hooked. Now, let me show y'all this one. We got plenty of room to do it. The solid line goes to the outside. See how it's solid? The buckle is on your cross line, or check line as some people call it. The buckle, the slide buckle, is on the one that goes across to the other mule. Another way you can tell is if you've got the lines together and they're hanging down, your cross line is going to be longer than the one that goes out there. It's going to be longer. But the easiest way to tell, and this is the way I do it, because you can look at it from the driver's seat. You pick your lines up and hold them. Your solid line should go to the outside. Your cross line with the buckle on it should go to the inside on both mules, and they cross. That's the way you can pick your lines up in the driver's seat. You can look at it and you can tell whether your lines are right. All right, let me move this mule over. All right, stand up, Alice. Whoop. Now, here's something else y'all need to know. Now, y'all can do what you want to. I'm just giving you some free advice. Get off of me now. This ain't the best strap in the world, but this is what I'm using for now. I want to get me a better strap made, but this strap is going to hook right in her breeching, right there. Now you got them tied together. Now back up just a minute. Now I want to show y'all something else. If they're fairly broke, a little old strap like that'll work. If you're working young mules like colts or mules that ain't been worked a lot, and you don't want to risk tearing up your harness, this is what you can do. Take you a big cotton rope, big old thick, 1/2 inch, 5/8 cotton rope, tie it in their lower hang ring, right here. All right, run it from their lower hang ring down the side of them, come through their D-ring on their breeching, kind of fish it through their breeching, between her tail and under her breeching, come over here, you know, go through her breeching and kind of weave and bob and whatnot, come out the D-ring, come all the way up the side of her, and then tie it off right here. Then you got a rope all the way around the mules from lower hang ring to lower hang ring on the other side. What that'll do is it'll keep them from spreading apart, and it also keep from tearing your harness up. Because these little old straps like this, if you got a team that ain't well broke, they can get sideways and they can tear your strap up and they can tear your harness up and a whole lot of other crap. Now, I want to show y'all about my lines. Let me see here. I want to make sure I get this right. I sure hate to goob this up on TV. Now, I just pull it out like that. There's my line. All right, this one, I've got it set the same way. Pull it out of that hip spreader and then just pull it out like that. Whoa, man, stand up. Get over a little bit, Alice. Whoa. All right, now I want to show y'all what I do with my lines. Like if I just want to go take a break and get some tea right quick or something, want to go get something to drink, or if I wasn't ready to go just yet, take your lines, stick them right up through here, and just leave them like that. Now you got your lines on both mules, your lines is ready to go. When you get ready to come back to them, all you got to do is find the ends and just pull them right out. That's all you got to do. When you want to store them at the end of the day, pull your lines up like this. Whoa, Alice. Pull your lines up like this. Let me see now, I want to make sure I'm telling y'all right. Yeah. Pull it right up through here like that. Put this one together with it. And let me see here. It's best to let the end of your line hang down below this loop. And then just stick it through your hip spreader like that. Stick all of it through your hip spreader. Pull it down like that, and there you go. Now there's 100 ways you can do this. This is just the way I do it. Now, I'm gonna pull that back out. Once you got it out to that, all you gotta do is grab the end, pull it right out. Like I said, if you wanna tie them up and you got something you need to go do, or you wanna go get something to drink, pick your lines up, put them in a loop, stick them up through your harness breeching, or you can come up under this like that, whatever you wanna do. And then just let them hang like that. And then all you gotta do is come up here and find the ends of it, pull them out, you're ready to go. Okay, now, before we take off, you wanna do one last safety check, y'all. You definitely wanna check your lines. I've done this before, and I'm sure anybody else that's drove any length of time has done it before too. You might have a line run wrong. Another common mistake is running your cross line right here through this ring instead of your upper hang ring. That'll foul you up. I've done that too. Make sure it ain't in that ring. Make sure it's in your upper hang ring on both sides. Check both of them while you're standing here. Okay, this is a good time to check your lines and make sure your line is right. Remember, pick your line up. This is the solid line. This line, if you follow it, should go all the way to her left side bit ring. See how it's solid all the way down. Your cross line is on the buckle, and it goes over to the other mule. Do the same thing with this mule. Solid line, see the solid line? It goes to her outside bit ring. Line that's on the buckle goes to, stand up now, quit. The line that's on the buckle goes across to the other mule. Now, here's something else you want to check. Come over here to the other side. Check your line right here. Make sure it's in the upper hang ring. Make sure it's snapped in her bit. Make sure that your overcheck is on and that it's adjusted properly. Her headset is pretty nice. She's about right. So everything looks good. Give your harness one last look over. Now, come around to this side. Give her one last look over. Her check rein looks good. Her outside check line, or outside line is on. It's run through the upper hang ring. That's important, y'all. Get it through the upper hang ring. All right. Now that we've scoped out everything looks good to me. So, next order of business is we're gonna cover is hitching. And we're just gonna roll right out of this video right into another one. And I'm gonna show y'all how to hitch them, how to properly hitch them. You know, how many links to drop. Cause y'all, I hooked to so much crap. I've got a 4-card, I've got a log card, I've got this, I've got that. I can't remember how many links I drop on each piece of equipment. You know, I can't remember it. Y'all might be better than me, but I can't. But I'm gonna show you how to do it to where you don't have to remember the links. I'm gonna show you how to do it to where you can look at it and tell if it's right or not. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave my lead chains here. And y'all, some of y'all may wonder why in the world I got these big gaudy lead chains. I'm gonna tell you why I got these big gaudy lead chains, because these mules like to eat lead rope. They love nylon lead rope and they'll eat it. So I use these with a bull snap on it just because they won't get broke. I deal with a lot of unbroke stock sometimes. Luckily these girls are good girls. They're easy to get along with and they don't really need all this. But they do like to chew on my nylon lead ropes, and they have chewed several of my lead ropes up. So that's why I use chain. Now, whoop, whoop. Grab the end of my lines, pull them right out, and we're ready to go. All right, y'all, one thing that we got to do now is get the harness off of her. And yesterday, whenever we worked them, it started raining a little bit last night. And when I came in, we wasn't able to get any footage of getting the harnesses off. So we've got Kate here this morning. We're gonna pull her harness off, show you how we take it off. One thing I wanted to tell y'all about was the breeching. Again, this is box breeching. There's no adjustment on this breeching. These breeching are made to fit a mule. The top band is 4 inches larger than the bottom band, and they fit, you know, they fit mules pretty good. You just have to get it made for a certain butt band length. And if you get like a 4650 or a 4448, you know, which would be a 44-inch butt band, 48-inch hip band, you know, they'll fit, you know, like let's say these are 46s, I believe. So it'd be a 40, I believe that's right, 4650 is what I had this one made. And it'll fit a mule from like 1,200 to 1,500 pounds, 1,600, something like that. And that's about where my mules are gonna be at. But for those of you that's got Western harness with the center ring and the hip drops, I wanted to talk about where your butt band needs to be. It don't matter whether you got Kentucky Mule harness, which is, like I said yesterday, is the 2 with the 2 rings and hip drops, or if you got a center ring spider and hip drops. The idea of it is you want it to be, find the dock of their tail, which is right there, find their hock, and you want that butt band to ride about halfway or a little higher. It's better to be a little higher than a little too low. So that's where you want to be, between them 2 points. And of course this breeching is a little different. It's a little different ball game, but I wanted to cover it so those of you that had Western harness would know. Another thing we need to talk about is the hangs, and Skylar, show them right up here. This hang strap goes straight across. It don't need to be arced like that. It needs to be straight across, because if you arc it, if you try to cheat and use too small of hangs and arc that hang strap, you're gonna pinch their neck up here in this area, and that's gonna cause you some trouble. You'll get the collar too tight on the sides, but your hang strap on the bottom needs to be more or less straight across. The one on the top needs to be more or less straight across. I want to show you how I store my lines right quick. I showed y'all how I done the back end. Now I want to show y'all the front end. On my outside line for my team line, I just hook it right here in my trace chain. All right, now let's go around to the other side. This is where my team line, my check line comes across. And what I do, I hook it right here, but I take the slack and just throw it over my hang up there. See, then that way it stays nice and out of the way. And I've got my team lines right there. Now, of course, on her, I've got a holdback strap right here, and it stays on her harness because she's my lead mule, and I use that holdback strap when I'm working on the one line. Okay, so now I've told y'all about that. Here's that little strap that goes in between their breeching, and I just leave it right here. I just hook it on itself and leave it, and I already showed y'all about how to store my line. So now we're gonna go ahead and take the harness off. And when we put the harness on, we started at the front and came to the back. When we take it off, we're gonna go the opposite direction. Put the tail in first, just take the breeching, slide it up on their butt, up on their back. You come right here, next thing you wanna do is get the quarter straps. Then you wanna work your way to the belly band. And then once you're up here in the front, take your breast chain loose or your combination strap. Most of you is probably gonna have a combination strap. Take that loose. Then you wanna get your hangs loose. And for those of you, like I said, that I showed you yesterday, if you ain't got a lot of energy, back up, Skylar, where you can see just that. Put that shoulder right here in it, and then pull, lean into it. You know, for those of you that might not have enough strength. Some of you ladies might need to do that. All right, hang strap's loose. Next thing I need to do is take her check line, her over check loose. And I'll just leave that up there on her neck. Now that's out of the way. Take your hames right here at the bottom, pull them apart, and just slip them right down on their back like that. Now the harness is ready to come off. Now back up just a little bit where they can see. Okay. Now what I do, I'm harnessing from the left, remember? So it goes on my right arm. I'm gonna run my right arm under it, run it under the back band, and just keep feeding it up on your arm. Grab that left hand with your left hand, pull it over the top, reach under, and grab. You gotta get these, you know, all these lines out of the way and stuff. Grab that right hand with your right hand, and then just drag it off like this. All right, now we can go put it up. When you put it on the rack, you do it the same way. Put your hames on first, slide them up, back band, slide it up, and then you bridge it, and then slide it up. Then the next thing we need to do is go get the collar and the bridle off. Now, like I told y'all yesterday, most mule men that I know, that I growed up with, are gonna take the collar off next. And then the bridle's the last thing that comes off, and it's the last thing that comes off, first thing that goes on. I don't do that anymore. That's just my preference, because I got tired of my collar pads, rivets coming out of these little holders. Now I just slip it over the head. But you can do it however you want to do it. It'll work both ways. So I'm gonna take the bridle off. Next, undo your bridle strap, your chin strap, or throat latch, I mean. And then this is, again, y'all, this is critical right here. You know, if you bang her teeth with that bit and you're rough, they're gonna get to where they throw their head up and just do a bunch of stupid crap. You know, and you don't want that. You don't want that no more than you can help. So if you take your hand, put it right up here on their head, make like a hook with your thumb, go right under that bridle right up there, hold her head down with this hand, grab that bridle with that hand, and just work it off her offside ear. Once you're off that offside ear, see her putting her head down, and just let her drop that bit. See how she dropped it on her own? Let the mule or the horse drop the bit. And then that way you don't have to worry about getting them sore. Now, I'm gonna take my collar, slip it up right behind her neck. I'm gonna flip it over like that. I'll put that chain and stuff back there in that collar pad where it won't hit her. And then, now see how she's putting her head down? So now we'll take the collar, start it up over her head, and just ease it over, just like that. She kind of knows what the deal is. They learn to put pressure against you to kind of help you push it on and help you push it off. They learn that. And Kate's a good girl. She does pretty good with that. Alice, I'm still working on her some. She does good with the collar, but every now and again she wants to get her head up putting the bridle on, and I've had to use that rope that I showed y'all about, and that rope does work pretty good. And I've also been doing some pressure and release training with her in the stall at night when I put her halter on. And what I do with it is I've been doing pressure and release training right here on her pole to where I can put a little pressure on it and she'll lower her head, and then I give her her head back. And that's been working pretty good too. Now I had to use rope in the beginning because I didn't have enough pressure to make her give to it. Well, I used a rope and run it to my ring, doubled it up, and I could pull on that rope, get a 2-to-1 advantage, and it would make her lower her head, and then as soon as she give to it, I let off on it. And we've been doing that, and that's been working pretty good too. All right, let's go put her collar and bridle up. Now, the best way, y'all, to do this is to hang it up by the bit. That way your bridle maintains its shape, especially if you're using leather. These are bio. I've got long, my check lines or over checks on my bridles are different probably than some of y'all's. Y'all probably got the center ring that snaps to your harness. It does better with hanging it upside down. I like to hang mine like this by the brow band, so that way I don't get my over checks all jacked up. So I just hang it there like that, and it kind of sits in in the harness like so, and it works pretty good. And then y'all, if you've got a sweaty animal, if you've been working them and they're sweaty, I mean her, obviously we hadn't been working her this morning, but if she was sweaty, I would brush her down, you know, and let her cool off a little bit and make sure she got some water before I, you know, turn her back out with the rest of them. So anyway, hope this has been helpful for you. Thank you.